Hi, it's Gabrielle, and in this video, part 2 of attachment trauma, how to know if it's affecting your relationship, we're going to continue our conversation about how trauma creates attachment disorder, what the signs of attachment trauma are in adult intimate relationships, and when you need to seek professional help to resolve attachment trauma. Now, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel right now. Just click the subscribe button right here. And if you're enjoying this, give it a like and share it. You can also go to my website, thepowercoupleformula.com, for lots more information about how to build an amazing relationship. As we talked about in part 1 of this two-part series, you may be wondering if the trauma that you've experienced in your adult relationships is in some way connected to trauma that you experienced earlier in life. You might have a lot of problems with adult relationships. People might be telling you that you're crazy or overly emotional or unpredictable, codependent, and you might be wondering why your relationships feel so fragile. You might wonder why you keep experiencing trauma in relationships as an adult. And you might also feel frustrated or disheartened because many of the relationship tips that you've learned to improve your relationships don't seem to work for you. You might be asking, how do I deal with trauma? And does trauma prevent me from having healthy relationships? In part 1 of this video series, we talked about what attachment trauma is and how it forms. Today we're going to focus on the impact of attachment trauma on adult intimate relationships, and I'm also going to give you some more insight into some of those specific formative experiences that can lead to attachment problems in intimate relationships. Attachment trauma is a really big deal, and if you've suffered from it, it can bring up a lot of feelings just starting to have a conversation about it. Attachment trauma can lead to a whole bunch of problems in intimate relationships when you become an adult. It may lead to any of the following: fear of falling in love, a general feeling of uncertainty or instability in relationship, being easily triggered in relationship by seemingly small things, and feeling repeatedly blamed by your partner, like you're always being seen as the problem. You might notice that you have a lot of difficulty managing your own emotions. All of these problems in relationship are not necessarily a sign that you've experienced attachment trauma earlier in life. So it's important that we start to discriminate the differences between when somebody is experiencing insecure attachment versus attachment trauma. For an overview of attachment styles, I'd refer you to my earlier videos on this channel. You'd be amazed at how common attachment trauma actually is. People tend to have varying degrees of attachment trauma, but even very highly functioning, securely attached people can have what we call pockets of attachment trauma. And those usually relate to discrete experiences that they had as children that would be qualified as frightening or dangerous, or where nobody was there to comfort them. But what happens if you had frightening and dangerous experiences kind of all the time as a child? That's not going to create a pocket of trauma. That's going to be more like an ongoing trait, an ongoing experience of yourself in a state of trauma. Maybe you grew up in a home with a parent who was physically or sexually abusive. Maybe you grew up in a home with a raging parent or an alcoholic parent, and experiencing life threat or frightening and dangerous experiences was just the name of the game. In a situation like this, attachment trauma is more of a way of life, and it becomes part and parcel of your experience of yourself and of other people. If you experienced an ongoing sense of life threat or extremely frightening or dangerous experiences as a child, you may have developed what we call disorganized attachment. Disorganized attachment tends to produce an ongoing fear and a feeling of being fundamentally unsafe in relationships with other people. The reason we call this disorganized attachment is because the behaviors in relationship have a chaotic, unpredictable quality to them. Unlike the other insecure styles where behaviors are very predictable, like if you do this, I will always respond this way. With disorganized, it's anybody's guess how this person is going to respond in a relationship. So that leads to an experience in relationship of immense unpredictability and instability. There are specific signs that you might have disorganized attachment. And remember, people can experience these things in kind of isolated moments, but if this is more a part of your ongoing experience, that's an indication that you might actually have this particular attachment style. So here they are. If you experience ongoing hypervigilance, where you're constantly scanning the environment looking for the next thing that's going to hurt you. If you experience paranoia, being afraid that people are out to get you. If you have irrational fears of people, places, or things. Another hallmark of disorganized attachment is if you find yourself frequently dissociated, meaning checking out, spacing out. If you find that you're often collapsing or shifting rapidly between very high levels of energy to very low levels. If you suffer from a pervasive feeling of shame, suicidal thoughts, or angry outbursts. Just because you experience any of these things from time to time doesn't mean that you have a disorganized attachment style. But if these types of experiences are more the rule than the exception for you, it might be the case. Obviously, these kinds of behaviors can wreak a lot of havoc in your intimate relationship. It's going to be very difficult for you both to rely on another person for things like self-esteem building or distress relief, as well as being able to provide those types of experiences for your partner. Because disorganized attachment tends to make people extremely untrusting of other people. But when we're dealing with real disorganized attachment in relationship, the relationship has a fundamentally different quality than insecure relationships. Something just seems really off where you notice you're spacing out. There's a level of incoherence in the conversation with your partner where things just don't seem to be lining up. But it feels scary and dangerous, unpredictable. This doesn't mean all hope is lost if you're struggling with disorganized attachment. But if you are struggling in this type of extreme way, it's important that you reach out for professional help from a licensed therapist who can work with you and hopefully with your partner to help improve your relationship. A lot of times when people don't realize that what's at the root of their experience is this disorganized attachment, they've been labeled with all different kinds of terminology, like they're either codependent or they're needy or they're bipolar or they're crazy or whatever it is. If this is you, or if you've been labeling your partner that way, please take a breath and understand that there are good reasons why people behave the way they do. And there's a lot of help available now to be able to work through these types of early childhood issues. In fact, it's been one of the breakthroughs of the last few decades in our ability to treat these kinds of things. Rest assured that you can have a healthy relationship, even with disorganized attachment. It just may take some professional intervention and a lot of hard work. And please remember that if you are experiencing a life-threatening emergency or you feel that you are fundamentally unsafe, please go to your nearest emergency room or call 911. And now I'd like to hear from you. Please leave me your comments below, and if you are struggling with disorganized attachment, whether that be as a disorganized attachment style or perhaps just a pocket of disorganized attachment in your life, let me know what you think life would be like if you were free from that. Here are 3 possibilities, but maybe you can think of more. Would it be easier for you to trust and fall in love? Would it be easier for you to maintain a calm and stable mood? Or would you experience more freedom in relationships and just being yourself? Leave me your comments below. I look forward to reading them, and I will see you in the next video.